Hello, welcome to A Gay and a NonGay. I'm James Barr and I'm gay.
Yes, I am Dan and I'm non-gay. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome along.
Yeah.
I'm currently chain drinking Tango.
Yeah, why have you started drinking Tango all the time?
I don't know why you're saying that. I only had one on Tuesday and now one today.
Well, it takes two.
We're so excited to be joined today by Toby Marlow and Lucy Moss, the writers of Why Am I So Single and Six the Musical. Huge. Where do we start? I don't know what to say. I mean, you're both icons. You must get stopped in the street by fans because like Six and Why Am I So Single are both so huge.
Not often, although actually, was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday, somebody did stop us in the street.
Really?
Yeah, but we were more excited about it than she was.
We're like, this never happens.
Imagine. That's so funny.
And she was like, oh, okay.
That's so ridiculous.
Somebody stopped us in the street once in Edinburgh, but it was actually so we could take their photo.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to work that out, and it was quite
You
awkward.
have to get used to that. People don't want your photo. They always want a photo of them.
Yeah.
It is mortifying though, isn't it? I always think I want to turn around and be like, but babe, I'm actually quite cool.
Yeah.
Do you not want a photo of me as well? Oh no, okay, fine. We'll just do one of you then.
Welcome to the podcast. You wrote Six whilst you're at university, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy because like when I was at university, I was just like doing nothing, watching Neighbours, which was massive at the time. How did you find the motivation to just get on with stuff?
Well, it was kind of, we were both kind of like big theatre kids at uni and did like a lot of shows all the time, sometimes together, but like, you know, doing lots and lots of things. And then basically every year the uni took a bunch of shows to the Edinburgh Fringe, aforementioned. They wanted to take an original musical written by students for like, as like they're really keen to do that. And we were like, oh, that would be so exciting to do. And we'd always spoken about...
Here's Students Union on Spotify.
Oh my
God! Why is your Siri got
Siri.
an American accent?
Sorry, my Siri has really big FOMO. Babe, I'll be right with you. I'm so sorry.
That's
Afterwards, just give me like 45 minutes. Okay, sorry. Okay.
What is it playing out of interest?
I think it heard me say Student Union, and it's playing a band called Student Union.
Oh, right.
Shout out. Don't know them,
They
but
sound great.
can't wait to discover them on the way home.
But I think with all of it, so it was like the uni was going to take an original musical, and we got the gig. But like, to be clear, that kind of was us like fucking around. Like we never thought it was going to be anything more than like a fun summer project with our friends. So when we were writing it, we'd be like, oh yeah, that'll do. Like, haha, that's stupid. Like it was just us in a room making each other laugh. And then it kind of just like got out of hand and snowballed, and now here we are.
But also the reason we wrote it was because we got the gig, and then they were like, oh great, you guys are going to write the musical, so we've booked a venue, and so can we have like a title and a concept and then the whole show by the summer? And we were like, oh well. Yes, we have to do that.
Yeah, but when I agreed to do it, I kind of assumed it just like wouldn't happen, and I'd like drop out, and it would just like fizzle away. Here we are.
Yeah.
7 years later, still talking about it.
So Six is like, how did you come up with the concept of that? Like, were you obsessed with 1500s monarchy? Like, what was it? What was going on with
both of us huge fans of the monarchy.
And still to this day, they do no wrong in my eyes. It was basically because, so yes, we got this slot at the Edinburgh Fringe, and it mainly came from a lot of conversations that we'd been having together and with other people about like representation in musicals of like women and like female characters, and how like they're just like, at least at the time we felt there was like a big like dearth of characters that were women who had like very like meaty roles and could be like really funny but also show off amazing vocals and
all within the same show. There's usually like one or two parts, but it was like about like loads of parts.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
And then we were like, okay, well, if it's going to be like an all or majority of like women show, then what's like a famous like IP that has lots of like women in it? Because like going to the Edinburgh Fringe, as you know, there's like a gazillion shows, so trying to like get anyone to come see something is a struggle. And so we're like, okay, so famous women, okay, like Shakespeare characters, or like the witches from Macbeth, or like, oh, Six Wives of Henry VIII, very famous group of women. Is there a musical about all of them? Out of copyright, yeah.
Ooh.
Can't be sued by the House of Tudor.
Yeah.
And then we...
When did that copyright expire?
1674.
Right.
So,
How do you even know that it was out of copyright?
Like when it's like, it's famous historical thing.
Yeah, so it's just something
we never applied for the life rights of
we
Anne Boleyn
didn't.
and Co.
No, we didn't have to get permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
just in the...
Maybe I'll come knocking at the door. But basically, so it was like, yeah. And then we're like, hey, that's a famous group of women. And then like, what's a way of like telling decades of history within an hour with like
using pop
fun music?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, what about a pop concert? And then like a girl group and they all sing a song and we just kind of blitz through the history. And
I love it. I mean, there's no interval, which is perfect. I love that so much. It's not often that you can go to the West End and get a show that has nothing baggy happening and you're just like in and out.
It's so true.
It's not good if you need a wee, but apart from that, it's great.
No, why would you? You're so gripped by it. It's fucking amazing.
So
and the songs, like, they just exist. You can listen to them they're on playlists everywhere. Like, it's not even, they just stand alone, right, as hits. Did you have any idea that was going to happen?
Really can't emphasize enough that we thought it was going to be August 2017, some fun times with our friends, and then we would have to go and like get real like office jobs or something.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What have you learned in the making of this about Henry VIII and his wives?
Well, apparently he wasn't a cool guy.
No.
Yeah.
He kept killing women.
Kind of a bad vibe.
Yeah.
It's kind of what the sort of discovery that we made.
Yeah, which no one had ever said before.
Yeah.
No.
That's so interesting.
Crazy.
I didn't know that either.
To make that,
Yeah.
I think we're joking.
Well, James isn't though.
Well, actually, I mean, to be honest, like, learn a lot about the wives.
And you,
really
like,
cool
a
stuff.
lot of the time you only know about like how they were killed by Henry or how they
Yeah,
ended.
that's it.
Whereas like it was really interesting to be like, oh, they had these like whole lives and that's how they all kind of came to be there and kind of.
Actually, a big thing we kind of learned from like looking at the history and like from the text that we read and like the stuff we watched was like really less about like individual facts about their lives, but more like getting like a kind of zoomed out perspective on like how they've been framed across like the centuries of being like, oh wow, we like remember this one as like, oh, she was like divorced because she was like ugly, but then you look at the facts and it's like, oh, maybe actually she wasn't because and like maybe just Henry couldn't like consummate the marriage and so he like panicked and like wanted to dump her. Then
so history like, kind of rewrote them and blamed them.
It's like the classic like history's written by the winners thing of like Henry's was telling the story and then every historian after that was kind of like writing from this like male gaze.
Terrible to be like, oh, you killed her because she's ugly. Cool, I'll write that down.
Yeah. Of course, because I don't want to be beheaded by you as well.
Right. That makes sense,
it is completely crazy, and the fact that he essentially set up the Church of England, right, because he couldn't get a divorce. It's just like batshit.
So wild.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite of the wives?
We obviously love them all. They're our babies, but I would say like, in terms of like if I was going to be one or like live the life of one, it would definitely be the fourth one, Anna of Cleves, who was divorced, who again is the one that was quote unquote ugly, but actually she had this really fun time where basically she was married to Henry for like a tiny amount of time, and then in order to keep her family sweet when he wanted to divorce her, she got this like giant palace and all these like grounds and basically spent the rest of her life like partying and drinking and like outlived all the rest of them, including the survived one at the end.
Amazing.
So she was kind of an icon. So maybe like
it's
a happy story.
I really think she was bi.
I'm 100% sure she was bi.
Yeah, I've read a lot of books that say she's bi.
Really?
I can say that on record.
I can see
a
that,
lot of people think she's bi.
And if you've got all that money and all the grounds...
Yeah, and she never gets married again. She's just like this single lady. And also there's a story about one New Year's Eve where her and Catherine Howard, the next wife, like stayed up partying all night while Henry went to bed.
Well,
we think she's bi.
That's definitely that's pretty.
But if not bi, just a really fun vibe of like Henry's gone to bed because of like his gout and his ulcers and stuff, and they're like downstairs at court being like, oh my god, wait, yes, he did the same with me. Oh my god, so annoying.
Yeah.
Can we get another round? And then like that's just a really fun vibe.
You did the show at Hampton Court Palace, right?
Yeah.
Were the ghosts of all these people sort of in the air?
They were really pissed off. They were like, you didn't get our life rights. Why are you doing this? So offensive.
You're gonna hear from our lawyer.
I was ugly.
Jane Seymour's like, I would never wear that. That's so weird.
It was really cool.
It was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it was super cool. And the cast very much were like, it really felt like the queens were there and all this kind of stuff.
And it was cool because they did like, I remember Natalie, who played Jane Seymour, like did like a tour of like the castle, and she was like showed the room where like Jane Seymour gave birth. Who's like the character she'd been playing since like,
which was like in the courtyard that we were performing in. So it was
she could like see it as she was performing and being like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We can't wait to talk about your new musical as well, and the soundtrack is out now. But just on Six, like obviously you won a lot of awards with it as well, and I'm guessing you've made a lot of money from it. But did you get to keep all of that, or was that also tied to the university because you wrote it for a project? Was that actually yours?
It's ours, yeah.
Oh my god!
It wasn't like a commission or anything like that. It was like because the the Musical Theatre Society is like a sort of like essentially charitable thing that like gives people the opportunity to do stuff. And so it was very nice.
Great. And no further questions.
Follow up to 6 is Why Am I So Single, right? Mm-hmm. How did you even get to a point where you were like created this enormous first project? How did you...
And Are Millionaires, why would you even work again? I'll stop bringing that up.
The ambition of creatives is just to be able to not ever write again. Of course. That's why we do the work. It's funny because even after like we did those first performances at Edinburgh Fringe, it was amazing like how quickly people were like, wow, that was so great. So like, what are you working on next?
Yeah,
like, okay,
really.
We had the pressure's on.
Yeah.
And then we spent a lot of like 2018, once the show had like done its showcases in London and then started this tour and then went to the West End, we were just like running around the whole time like doing sick stuff, and we're getting a bit, I don't know, spending a lot of time calling ourselves writers and talking to people and meeting people and doing interviews, being like, yes, we're writers, and being a bit like, okay, we've only written 9 songs ever together, and now we're like writers that everyone's calling us. That feels a bit impostery. And so we got onto this writing retreat thing in Connecticut, and we went there in like January 2019 to kind of like, okay, we've got these like 2 weeks here. We're going to like start a new show. We went with one idea, but it wasn't really clicking or vibing or working. And we ended up actually, even though we went there to like write, just having like a big old DMC essentially of being like, wait, like, how are you? And also we spent like a year and a half hanging out exclusively, but also I don't really know you that well. What's your life history? And then from that and from this kind of like beautiful friendship bonding moment, we were like, wait, what if like this is a show? Like obviously a lot of the gossip we were talking about was about like failed dates and failed relationship things and just like how single we felt and were, and then basically like,
but then kind of realizing that we'd literally been acting like a sort of like platonic couple for the last like year and a half and having an amazing time and being like, wait, actually we are kind of in this really like amazing relationship. It's just not like the one that you like see in movies and musicals, like that people write about.
Like us, Dan.
I guess so.
Just like the two of you. I got that vibe from you too.
Yeah.
100%.
Cute. Yeah. That is actually that's such a lovely origin story. But so you've gone from writing a musical about something in history to writing about yourselves. Was that quite difficult to switch?
I think with 6, like one of our big ambitions was to kind of like show that these kind of the issues faced by these women in the past actually aren't that historical and actually kind of happen all the time. So I feel like a lot of 6 was actually kind of like bringing stuff up and like putting it into these other characters, but was kind of ultimately trying to like base it on like personal things. So it didn't feel like that big of a transition. And also like the characters in this show aren't actually that factual in terms of it's sort of like that's the origin idea, but like it's kind of like there's lots of like bits that are taken from other people's lives and bits that are taken from like, you know, both characters have both of us in, if that makes sense. So it didn't ever feel like
too exposing.
Yeah, too exposing / like, I don't know, I kind of feel like writing songs a lot of the time is kind of like a sort of expression of what's going on inside. So it didn't feel that different like to me.
I think that there were definitely like easy fun bits and then very like challenging bits, and a lot of it was because of the personal stuff of having to like, you know, there's a lot of autobiographical content in there and like excavating things, especially like some like together about one person trying to be like, hey, so remember that really like horrible thing that happened to you when you were a child? Like, how can we make that rhyme? And like, you know what I mean? And then like things like that became were tricky. But then also like there were some bits where like there were songs that we just were having so much fun writing, and it just kind of like it like being like, oh my god, let's like brainstorm all like the annoying things people have ever said to us on a dating app, and then like turn that into a song, and that was like really like quick and easy and fun, and so it just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that is true. I feel like it's just also by the end we're just quite good at like dissociating about it.
Yeah. It's actually, I think writing from your own like trauma it helps a lot. It moves you on, right?
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, a lot of the stuff in it now, I kind of, when it was on, I kind of watched it and I was like, oh, do you know what? I really like. It's not that I like chime with this anymore, but it does feel very like a nice like purge of something. Do you know what I mean? And it's and it's just it's nice. It is a cathartic feeling, I think, to do that. But also a lot of it's just completely made up, so that wasn't very cathartic. but I think it's funny that just like as it went on and as it becomes just more like in like the technical nuts and bolts of actually writing, it's amazing how much you do just like disassociate, or you can't like, it was like when, you know, coming up with like the ideas of like various numbers and what they were going to be kind of early on, being like, oh wow, that's going to be quite like intense to like, you know, talk about that thing that happened to one of us and blah 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 blah.
And then by like draft 15,
you're like, I can't think of any more rhymes for trauma. We have to move on with the word trauma because nothing else rhymes with trauma. Warmer? We can't use warmer.
Trauma. Warmer.
Yeah.
We did have a lyric in that. It was like draft like 307 of Disco Ball.
I feel like it was like something like not even a rhyme, like drama or something.
A drama from my trauma. Oh my god.
Disco Ball is a big one. By the way, my friends are obsessed with it. Love that song.
Thank you.
And my friend is the manager of Steps and wants Steps to record it.
Oh my god!
Just to drop that in.
Steps Disco Ball.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, which ones are we going to all do the monologue in the middle in unison?
Yes. That would be so funny. Or maybe just Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly just Lisa Scott.
Oh my god, they have to do Disco Ball.
Yeah, they do.
That'd be so great.
Well, I'll tell him you said yes.
Yes, please.
It's on tape, done. Yeah, I think that would be so sick. So what are the dating apps? Where are you at in dating now, both of you? Are you dating? Like, are we talking about this? Are you comfortable?
I don't know.
We can segue away. We can segue away. But I suppose I wonder, like, how the dating apps are and what the worst thing you've had said to you on a dating app is.
It's also funny when people bring up sex. It does make me laugh.
On apps?
Yeah.
Why?
What is like in the past people were like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, good. How are you? And they're like, yeah, good. By the way, I have to say, Don't Lose Your Head is one of my favourite songs. And I'm like,
oh my god.
Goodbye.
Sorry, I thought you said sex.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh no!
I thought you said that.
Six,
I thought you said
and
sex
I was like,
well.
what? Why is it funny when people bring up sex?
Yeah.
When people bring up kissing on a dating app, I'm like, sorry.
Oh my god, no one has ever brought up kissing on a dating app.
You know Jesus can see us. I know. Oh yeah.
That is
Such
so
a prude.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's awkward when people bring up six, right? I can see that.
Yeah.
It's like winky face, block. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What the church elders say. Oh my god.
I don't go on dating apps. I only use Grindr. I find dating apps to be just exhausting because I'm single. So this musical, obviously, it really hits home.
Yeah,
But
it may as well be called James Barr the musical.
But I'm quite happy being single. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
But I feel like I mean in the show, like they kind of find their way to realizing that, and also like kind of like part of the impetus of writing the show as well was kind of that like feeling like there's no feeling of joy like when you've had a bad date or you've like had a funny like interaction or hookup and you're like, I cannot wait to tell Toby about this. Like, I cannot wait to get in a room with my best friend and be like, oh my God, okay, I've got a story for you. And it's like, oh my God, tell me everything. Like that, the glee I feel just thinking about that now. It's just like kind of where the whole sort of like show came from and what we wanted to write about rather than like the sort of difficulties of it. Really, it's like the joking about it with your friends. It's just, like, so fun.
I have been in a relationship since before dating apps arrived. Wow. So I've never really been, well, I say I've never, I mean, basically have not been on one to all intents and purposes. But I do, like, this stuff does kind of sound fun. But I guess if I was suddenly single, I don't think I'd find it that fun. Do you know what I mean? I think it's sort of with hindsight that it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In the time, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the most soul-destroying thing in the world. But after, like, thank God I get to have a hilarious time about it.
Yeah.
It's a silver lining.
People would say, why are you single? Why are you single? Like, why are you single? That used to trigger me a lot. I used to get really angry about that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why are you even asking me? But now, obviously, the answer is because
I would like
men
to
are
be.
trash.
Yeah, men
Yeah.
are trash.
I would
That
like
is...
to be single.
Yeah.
Thank you for recognizing how brilliant I am. But do you have any advice for people that are stuck in that why am I so single feeling?
God, it's kind of like what the show is trying to argue is that because we all see everyone in the world as being like, oh, you're either like single or not single, like you're romantically entwined to someone or you're not. And I guess like that's seen as like the goal and that's seen as like the thing before that. And I guess like what the show tries to argue is like if you're not romantically single, that doesn't mean you're like alone or like without. You're just like don't have that one kind of love in your life at the moment, but you are surrounded by so much love, hopefully, you know, if no, just stay on that track. Like, but yeah, it's, I don't know, I would say that when I've, in times of feeling intense loneliness, what, you know, is often a nice antidote to that isn't, you know, pursuing something to like fill the romantic void, but is to like to remind myself of the gratitude I have for like the love that I already have in my life.
Beautiful.
Would
Toby
be my
is
advice.
beautiful.
Would be my advice.
Okay, we need to give Toby flowers right now. Yeah, I agree. And what about you? Same or?
I guess same. I guess it's like kind of just to build on what you were saying, Tobes, about the very binary way of looking at the world of either single or not. Like, I think it's like redefining what like love and relationships are to you, and kind of going, actually that kind of isn't really a helpful way of thinking about myself. And I also think that, like, for me, like, it was so, like, when you're in that kind of single, like, I'm so alone, you kind of just need to, like, sit with it and, like, kind of just let yourself be miserable about it, as well as, like, finding the joy in your life, rather than trying to constantly, like, buoy yourself up. It's actually kind of okay to be like, oh God, like, I don't feel good about that. And then I feel like there was a point at which I just, like, became really okay with being single, and was really, like, enjoying that. And, like, that kind of, and didn't even really, it kind of happened without me noticing, when I was just, like, not constantly trying to solve it or whatever.
It's interesting. Like, I think I'm so single that I don't even identify as single anymore. I just, like, I identify as love.
The other thing you can do as well is, if you're feeling really single, is to find a friend and then, like, write a giant musical about being single, and which actually attempts to justify that actually you're not single because you've got loads of friends.
Actually forget what I said. Do that.
So write a giant musical, and then you'll feel so much better. You were like, see, everyone knows now I'm not lonely. I've got loads of pals.
Yeah, perfect.
Before you go, obviously I have to ask, now 6 is huge. Are we going to get like a 6-2? Would you do a sequel?
12.
12. Why would that be 12? Wait.
We'll let James catch up.
6-2, that would be like 62, isn't it? 6, 12. Why 12?
Because 6 times 2 is 12. Right.
Thank you. Have you ever thought about that?
Like, haven't thought about
Henry would be quite good, like a real takedown.
Henry's turn.
I feel like probably some man somewhere should write Henry's like revenge or something.
Yeah.
And then we won't go.
But why does a man? Yeah, great. I kind of want you guys to write it.
We did kind of. We did a cabaret of, like, new songs once, and we opened the show with Lucy starts performing 6, and then I burst in the back of the room dressed as Henry VIII.
You mind shooting me to the ground?
I shoot you to the ground, and then I go on stage and I sing a version. You know, Rose's Turn from Gypsy. All that work, and what did it get me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, her, like, big, like, breakdown song. We sang, like, a rewritten version. I sang a rewritten version of that called Henry's Turn.
Oh, my gosh.
All these wives, and what did it get me?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Musicals with me in the background.
Do you think you should ever, like, I think you should do that again, release that, put that out on TV?
It might be my next single.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, maybe.
Just get it done. You know?
Yeah, get it done. Finally play the
Great,
track.
you should definitely do that. So what is actually next then, if not the Henry musical?
We've written some songs for an animated movie,
which is the exciting.
Yeah, it's called.
No, you please, Toby, you've got to do it.
3, 2, 1.
It's called Bad Fairies.
No way.
Yes.
That's really cool. What does it mean? Bad Fairies? Like, is that the musical name?
It's the name of the film. Yeah.
Oh, you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. It's been, like, announced. And it's really exciting. It's like. I don't know how much we're allowed to say about, like, what it is, but it's like a really cool team, and the songs are really, like, fun and funny and kind of, like, a bit, like, punky and sort of, like, guitar-y, so that's super exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
So go see that.
We'll look out for that.
Go see that in 2027.
Well, Why Am I So Single is out now, the cast album.
Yeah.
So stream it wherever you listen to music. Which is
Where
probably
would
the same
that be?
place you listen to podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Do that, and we'll put the links in the episode description. We'll also link to your socials as well. And go and see 6 and go and see the musical Why Am I So Single. Thank you so much, Lucy and Toby.
Thank you.
Thank you.